tuned in to The Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
Happy Fab Friday, folks. What's going on with my camera? Happy Friday. What's going on, good people? Evelyn, good morning. Let me fix the camera just a tad. There we go. Melita, good morning. Happy Friday to all of you. What a beautiful day. What a beautiful song. I love that song. I feel like at least once or twice a week we need to play it, because it makes me remember how much I love the Cayman Islands, right? You got to represent. Oh, I'm not wearing my new Cayman Islands necklace. I actually have a flag for a necklace. I'm going to start wearing it on the show. And, you know, we always see other countries, Americans. Listen, when I lived in the States, I lived with my aunt and my uncle, and they had an American flag that they would put out July 4th in their yard. Sometimes they just put it out there. It wasn't even July 4th. Just because. Good morning, Larry. Good morning, Olivia. And it's all about having a sense of national pride, loving who you are, right? Where you've come from. We don't always have a choice where we come from, but I think at the end of the day, it's just amazing to be able to celebrate that regardless of whatever. And so there are times that you guys remember that song was actually done during COVID. And so there are times when I hear that song and I'm just like, you know what? I want to express a bit of national pride. I want to just love who we are. And why not? You know, we are an amazing people most of the time. And so I love it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Hope that you are having a fab Friday. There's a reason why we call it that, folks. Let me just have a quick look at what is going on. So there was an accident this morning in West Bay. Unfortunately, a vehicle ran into a light pole. So I don't know what they were doing or where they were going in a hurry, but folks, slow down. Nowhere that you have to go this morning or any other morning is that important where literally you are willing or should be willing to take the risk of hurting yourself, hurting other people, mashing up your car, whatever the situation is. I just don't think it is worth it. So happy Friday to all of you. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday. Good morning. I do see what's been trending this week. Our announcement with Kathy Ann Wilkes, she's ran for political office. Wow, that post has done extremely well. You guys are very, very interested in her jumping into the political arena. So congratulations again to Kathy. Congratulations so far. So we've got the Early Birds Club is what we should call them, right? So the Early Birds Club includes Alric Lindsay, Michael Miles, and Kathy Wilkes. So those are the three persons who have officially announced that they're running outside of the incumbents. And we assume that all of the incumbents are running again, despite the fact that some of them have been claiming that they're going to retire for years. Until we see nomination day come and pass, and they have actually retired, I kind of doubt that that's going to happen. So we shall see. Keep it locked here, of course, because we are your campaign experts. We will be telling you the sus. Omaro says, when will Cayman borders reopen to Jamaica? Omaro? Wagwan? You matter what? No, sir. Listen, we are reopening. Yesterday, remember the BA flight came in. They're going to take about 20 people or so from the BA flight. Good morning, Alvin. And of those people, they're going to do a test run. And so now they're starting to firm up policy. By the way, we have a press conference scheduled for today at 2:00. So tune into that press conference. I suspect we'll hear a little bit more about how the process is going. It's only going to be like day one into the whole, test run of things. But we'll get a bit of an idea of how the policy is shaping up. But Omaro, what I would say to you, my friend, is why would you want us to reopen to Jamaica? I'm sorry, but right now, Jamaica, the US, the world has gone crazy, the UK. So there are countries that are considered high risk, and this is the approach I understand that government is taking. Government is going to assume that every single country is high risk. But listen, we were looking at the numbers from Jamaica. I think it was yesterday that we posted these numbers. Jamaica not doing too hot, I don't know why people in Jamaica are like, they don't care. They're like, oh, it's not that bad. You've had how many people die? And keep in mind now, let's be honest here, the numbers that are being reported are highly underreported for two reasons. Number one, there is an admitted backlog of a month. So in a month's time, how many people do you think would have tested positive for COVID-19? So there's a backlog of a month, 210 new cases in the past 24 hours. So this is from September 16th. 5 new deaths, 45 new recoveries, 3,016 active cases, 20% daily positivity, number of new tests done, 1,051. So you've got total cases of over 4,300 and 51 persons have died. And one of your politicians, ex-politicians yesterday, was again in that number of persons who have succumbed. A former Jamaican cabinet minister, D.K. Duncan, has now died following a COVID-19 diagnosis. So what I would say, my friend, is we're not ready. We're not ready for that. We're not ready. There will be, you can apply to come in, but there will be strict things in place that will determine whether you get a yes response or a no response. Good morning, Corrine. Hello, beautiful Lisa, all the way from Cayman Brac. Big shout out to people on the Brac. At Little Cayman, we are the 3 Cayman Islands. That's the thing I love. You guys know I have my Cayman Islands map, which is Grand Cayman, but the flag represents all of us. So I've been wearing the flag a lot since I got it a few days ago. Big shout out to David Ebanks over at Prodigy Jewelers. David does a lot of custom pieces that are amazing. If you've not seen his work, check out their Facebook page, Prodigy. They do repairs, they do custom pieces, jewelry sales, and his one-of-a-kind pieces like really blow me away. And he loves to do pieces that incorporate a sense of national pride. Our flag, our coat of arms. The other day, my daughter was asking me about the coat of arms. She's like, why is there a lion and a turtle on there? And one day we got to delve into what our coat of arms actually means, because I think it's so interesting that we have 2 very, very different creatures on the coat of arms. And I hope that it speaks to the diversity of the Caymanian people. Why some of us are kind of fiery and we're going to speak up and do what we got to do. And then others are kind of like the turtle. They're going to take their time and move slowly, but they'll eventually get there, sort of thing. And maybe it takes both kinds in the world. So listen, I'm looking today at my split screen to see who else has joined in that isn't necessarily commenting, because I was reminded the other day that a lot of people do that. So big shout out to Beth. Good morning, Beth. Good morning, Raymond. Look at Miss Ann. Miss Ann is here. Dawn, Liz, JMS White. Irvin says Jamaica's in trouble right now. I don't want to see a flight from down there. Well, I think Jamaica's got some issues. Susan, the beautiful Sue Arch is tuned in. Hey, Chuck Taylor. That's my cousin, you know. Chuck Taylor, what's up? Stephanie Brooks, beautiful Stephanie. Thank you so much. Welcome to Fab Friday. Merstar Nixon, hello, darling. How are you? Miss Joy Ebanks is here. Cynthia, Shauna, lots of wonderful people tuned in. So listen, we discussed this yesterday, and I don't want to belabor the point, quite honestly, but I know that in the community, everyone is still talking about Billy from Colors Cayman. Oh, Billy, what have you done? You have stuck your foot in your mouth, and the LGBTQ community is not happy with you. Others are obviously not happy with you. And even people who before said nothing on this, you have elicit from them a bit of angst about this whole situation. So in case you guys missed it, Billy made a comment where he said there was some post from Denny about children being indoctrinated in the UK. I think, again, a lot of these posts can be very, very misleading. You know, they come from, I don't know if they're right wing, left wing, center wing, crazy wing, you know, turtle wing, lion wing. I don't really care. But they're extremists in all walks of life. And so people get a little bit crazy when they believe in something. Like, honestly, I think that a lot of people could do with being a little bit more centered. Now, I say this as someone who is incredibly passionate about a lot of different things. And sometimes, even myself, I recognize that I gotta rein it in. It's like rein that passion in just a little bit. And no one is more passionate about children and protecting children than I am. Trust me. I couldn't ever imagine like having to harm anyone or take anybody's life. But when it comes to protecting a child, that's when I think I would go crazy on you. And if it meant, you know, getting you out of the way with physical harm to protect a child, that I'm going to do that. To me, that's justifiable in all sense of the word. So I understand the feelings that people have on the initial statement that Billy made, which she then attempted to correct and, you know, give additional information about why it's important to educate children. on diversity and being more accepting and that sort of thing. And the conversation wasn't really about sexuality. But the first comment, which is, I'm coming for your children, like, what the hell were you thinking? Honestly, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's just stupid. And so, despite my support of everyone being who they are, as adults, I think that sometimes we can say really stupid things that will have a backlash and that will get us in trouble. And so, I saw Billy issued a press statement. We will put that up a little bit later on so that all of you can have a look. However, I think what sometimes all you need to do, and I've said this before, just apologize. Just say, you know what? That's not what I meant. And I'm sorry that I said it in that way so that people could take it wrong and add fuel. I mean, it's not just fuel. They've dumped cans of, fuel on this, and it has exploded into like a whole crazy situation. So everywhere I went on social media yesterday, there was nothing but post after post after post about this. Oh, you coming from my children, bitch. I gotta fix you. And I was like, oh my God. Ooh, it's crazy. It is crazy. Lillian got her tea while I got my water that I'm sipping on. Thank you very much. I haven't had tea in a while, but I think I'm going to have some soon. Miss Sue McLaughlin, one of her super fans, has retired. I saw a picture yesterday on social media and I thought, oh, Sue has retired. Congratulations, Sue. What a wonderful thing to be able to do. Retire and stay home with that lovely hubby of yours and enjoy life in a more relaxed mode. Maybe start a new business. I think retirement doesn't necessarily mean that you have to sit down all day and watch TV and eat cookies and sip on tea or whatever, although that would be perfectly fine if that's what you wanted to do. But I do think that retirement just means that you're going to stop working for somebody else and maybe volunteer and work with children and, do your own business and pick up something you've always wanted to learn how to do. So if you've always wanted to learn how to play the piano, hello, retirement is the time to do it. Unfortunately, traveling is on pause at the moment. So that's always a retirement goal. But right now, with COVID, it just ain't happening. We haven't done a COVID update in a while. Maybe we'll do that a bit later on or on, I don't want to put a damper on Friday if you can talk about COVID. So yeah, maybe we'll do that on Monday. So Sue, yes, thank you so much. She said she got some beautiful retirement gifts. Sue, I still owe you a gift certificate, by the way, Popeyes. So please message me. I've got the gift certificates here. And I think I need to give away some more before the day's out. So keep it locked. Hello, Noelle. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate the love and support. So what else has been happening other than the crazy messages on Facebook that everyone has been reading? I mean, some of them were like really kind of comical though, because some of them were like, you come for my children, I gotta come and it's like, oh my God. Woo, two rights don't make a wrong. And I think really what could make this a whole lot better is if Billy just said, I didn't mean it that way. I made a mistake saying those words. And so, Billy says that she does a lot of good in the community. Let's focus on that. Sometimes doing more and saying less is the way to go when you're involved in certain organizations. So it is what it is. Shout out to Noelle. Noelle does a lot of nonprofit work with the LGBTQ community, plus, as he shared with us before. And he does a lot of education in the prisons, for example. He does a program there. He, is involved with youth programs. I think he's trying to launch more now with his new LGBTQ plus foundation. And, I think it's always a matter of choice. And if young people have questions, they should have the option of finding those questions out from professional counselors and professional sources, as opposed to being, taught by their friends or trying to figure things out on their own. And a lot of young people are struggling in this country and in this community. I think more than we're willing to acknowledge with mental health issues. And one of the reasons why, and a lot of you may not want to hear this or you may not want to believe it, but it is directly because of our position on the LGBTQ community. Listen, we have teenagers who are gay and they struggle with that. And they struggle telling some of you crazy parents that, Mom, this is who I am, accept it. They're not there yet in their journey. So they will struggle, and they will struggle seeing all the hateful messages and stuff like that on social media. So unfortunately, it becomes, a challenge for them, and it becomes a mental health challenge. And as we heard from King a few weeks ago, which, by the way, thank you so much for King for coming on the program. He was amazing. And, it was just one of those things where there were so many people who contacted me after the show. And they were just like, Sandy, this was an amazing show today. Thank you so much for having this. Thank you for bringing King on, because it was just one of those things where he was able to share, his story. And it was done in such a way that, honestly, a lot of people were touched by it. So thank you, King. I appreciate and support you in your journey of becoming who you are. You cannot stop people from being who they are. And at the end of the day, I think that it is what it is. More of us just need to understand and accept people. So 10 years ago today, does anybody remember where they were? Today doesn't necessarily stand out as a particularly amazing day 10 years ago, but I was scrolling through my Facebook timeline and I did see that I was in the middle of something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I'm going to share with you in a second what my thoughts were. So Sue said she wasn't really ready to retire yet, but COVID gave her no choice. And COVID has changed our lives forever. There's no such thing as going back. We will always reflect on this. Some of us are a little bit older than others. But some of us will look back on this and think life pre-COVID and life post-COVID, because this is one of those distinguishing events in our lives that will change all of our lives collectively forever. So you'll always go, right, before COVID, I could travel and I could do this, and post-COVID, I had to wear masks more often, sanitize more. I mean, there's going to be like a totally different world out there. And, it is what it is. Louis, good morning. So Louis, TGIF, top of the morning to you, Louis. Lillian, thank you. She says, yes, sometimes say less and do more. Outside of this show, you guys would be surprised how less I say. Maybe I'm talked out by the time I'm done, but yes, I actually a lot of times like to just observe what's going on. So Bruce wants to know, did Billy just say what he was actually feeling? I think Billy, and of course, I'm not trying to put words in Billy's mouth, but based on the subsequent posts, Billy was actually saying, yes, I'm coming for your kids because someone needs to, but he was, my apologies. She was referring to, educating your kids is what she has said. So I don't know anything about Billy. I'm not swearing for anybody and what they're doing from what they're not doing. But, I will take Billy at face value until she proves otherwise. But I do think the way that it was posted and what was said, if it's just taken just like that and you don't read anything else, is very problematic. And that's exactly what people have done. Coming from my child? Oh, no, you're not, honey. So, Noel, that's exactly what popped up this morning. Check this out. This is what I was thinking. I don't know, I can't remember what was going on 10 years ago, but this is one of my all-time favorite quotes ever. It says, watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, for they become actions. Watch your actions, for they become habits. Watch your habits, for they become character. Watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. Wow. Can I tell you, this is so true on multiple levels. And it all begins with how we think. Simple, 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 simple. Really. And then there's a chain reaction from there. So thoughts become words. And this is so true. Like, you can break this down and really, really think about how this makes complete sense. It's so profound. And at the same time, it is just so incredibly true. So 10 years ago, this is what I was thinking, or something I was working on. I do not remember what the project was, to be honest. But there you have it. And that quote remains very true. And it is probably my all-time favorite quote that just represents life and who we are, and how we, I think, as human beings have such control over our lives and over our own destiny. So yes, Edwin, look at who just jumped in. Roger and Edwin tuned in, got it locked right here on the Cold Hard Truth Fab Friday edition. What else is going on, folks? What's on your minds? That's what I want to know. So around the world, COVID tests, they claim that there's a rapid COVID test that's getting the green light. Well, let's hope that it works. And then let's also hope that it means that there will be this backlog that you keep hearing about all over the place reduced significantly. So the police say that they are out and about. They are doing the most. They're arresting people. So if you're doing anything naughty, folks, good morning, Lisa. If you're doing anything naughty, I suggest you rein it in, because the police have different locations on their radar. So we've got them actually looking for a man. Let me just pull up his picture now that I'm remembering this. They say they are looking for someone in relation to a domestic incident. So you know what that means. He's a dangerous man to women in particular. But some of these individuals who are involved in domestic activity, like, they beat their wives or girlfriends or whoever, the truth of the matter is they'll beat anybody. So, I mean, don't think just because you're a man, you're going to be spared from their wrath. So they are looking for Conway Clive Whitaker, age 41, of North Side. And the police have indicated that he is wanted in relation to a domestic assault. Whoa, not good. Making threats to kill, as well as violating a probation order. Mr. Whitaker is said to be 5 feet 9 inches tall. He weighs about 140 pounds, is of dark complexion, and usually, it says here, hold on one second, frequents the North Side area. I guess if he's from North Side, that would probably make sense why he frequents the North Side area. Let me just see if I can pull up his photo here. Mr. Whitaker, wanted by the authorities. There he is. If you know Mr. Whitaker, they're encouraging him to just turn himself in. They said, we would like to urge Mr. Whitaker to give himself up to the police. Anyone who sees Conway Whitaker should not approach him, because I guess they consider him dangerous, but instead simply call 911 and provide the location and time of the sighting. And of course, you can also do anonymous tips or confidential, that's the RCIPS confidential tip line, as well as Crime Stoppers, which is dealt with overseas. So Mr. Conway Whitaker is on the police's radar this morning. probably a good idea to just turn yourself in because you might get some trigger happy, crazy officer who's trying to be a hero. Bruce has a lot to say this morning. Let's see what Bruce is going on with. Should we not at minimum accept that the governor was not correct when he said that things would not change for people in Cayman after the implementation of civil partnerships? It is inevitable that same-sex relationships and sexuality will be taught in schools now, that there is parity with heterosexual relationships. It's okay with me, but we need to be honest with the public. I don't agree with you, Bruce, and I'll tell you why. Good morning, Janice. The curriculum that is set for the schools, let's remember who the current Minister of Education is. She would never sign off on such a curriculum. And it's not a right to be able to teach someone anything in school, really, on the curriculum. So I think that I don't see that happening anytime soon for sure. I don't think same-sex relationships and sexuality is what would be taught in any event. I think what would be taught is that there are people out there who are different than you, maybe, depends on who you are and what you are, and that there has to be some level of acceptance in the sense that you allow people to be who you are, and you don't, because someone is different from you don't go around beating them up, or, verbally assaulting them and that sort of thing. So I think that is where there are instructions that, or some sort of curriculum involved with it. That's where it's at. It's not about same-sex relationships and sexuality. And I think that's where, unfortunately, people want to twist the issue a little bit because it helps their agenda to think about, oh, my kids are going to be taught about same-sex relationships or sexuality. And of course, parents get scared because they think being LGBTQ is contagious, right? So they're like, irks, if my kids get taught this, all of a sudden they're going to want to be a lesbian. Now, any straight person would know that that's the most ridiculous thing in the world. So why do people believe that? It's just like a level of ignorance because of the backing of the prejudiced nature of how people feel about this particular topic. No adult who is heterosexual has ever felt like, oh, I can be converted to something else. Yeah, Louis, I agree. People act like it's contagious. Like, oh, if I hang out with gay people, I'm going to become gay. Well, I've hung out with gay people my entire life since I was in university, and that's been a while, way back at USF. And hold on, let me check. Let me pinch myself. Let me think about it. Am I straight? Am I gay? Nope, still straight. So I don't think it works. I don't think it works that way. So obviously I'm being a bit tongue-in-cheek here, folks, in case you didn't get it. Can I tell you the thing about humor? Humor is obviously something you learn. My daughter, she's only 4 years old. So sometimes she doesn't always get humor. Like you say certain things. So Daddy will say something and she's like, Daddy, are you joking? Because she's like thinking, that doesn't sound right, but I'm not sure. It could be a joke. So sometimes, even adult humor, like when you say it to another person, they don't always get that it's just a joke, folks. So I always chuckle now. Cecile, happy Friday, Fab Friday. So yeah, sometimes I chuckle about it when I hear her asking, Daddy, are you being funny? And then after he says yes, then she kind of laughs. But obviously she didn't really get if he was 100% being funny. So there it is, folks. It's not contagious. Your kids can't be taught to be a member of the LGBT community. What they will be taught to do is to simply accept others as they are. And acceptance just means leave people alone. It doesn't mean that you have to do anything beyond that. You don't have to hang out with LGBTQ people if you don't want to. Pretty sure that we all have members in our family and our friendship circle, whether we know it or not. But that's on you. You can choose who your circle is going to be. And no one is telling you that you have to be friends with anybody. People will find their own friendship circle. I can assure you of that. So, I would say kind of chill out on it a little bit. Uh, what a hot mess. The most interesting part of this situation, though, is I wish, like, everybody's like, this is going to be taught in the schools, blah, blah, blah. Like, that whole post was such a firestorm that now I wish that that same passion that people have for worrying about this particular aspect of life going into the curriculum potentially, that you would be that worked up and that concerned about the entire curriculum that your kids are being taught in school. Like, be more involved in the lives of your children and especially their academic lives. It's not just about dropping them off at school, picking them up, saying to them, okay, do your homework. Yeah, sit down with them. Okay, I want to know what you're discussing in religion. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about what that means. Let's understand that Christianity is not the only religion in the world, despite the fact that maybe that's what we believe as a family. Let's talk about how some of the other religions operate, right? And what that means and how you can respect people who are Muslim, Islamic, whatever, Buddhists, atheists. You don't have to make their religion something that makes you want to hate them. Tolerance, once again, is the name of the game. So Ricky says, if you teach my kids algebra, there will be problems. Yes, Ricky, I feel you. Trust me. Ugh, algebra was like, I would sit in algebra, calculus. I'm like, why am I doing this? How is this ever going to help me? But you see, I was always on the other spectrum. Like, I was always a writer. Like, I'm not a mathematician. I've never enjoyed any of those things. Like, I would have to really study hard to do well in an algebra test. All these equations and X's and Y's. And I was just like, oh my gosh, do I care? But yeah, I mean, get involved. How many of you have ever even looked at the curriculum that schools are pushing out to your kids? But just because it's this one topic, we all go ape crazy. Funny enough, there's a man who represents apparently the Islamic community, which I'm afraid I don't really know a whole lot about here in the Cayman Islands. But he has made a statement saying that he was really quite disappointed and ashamed to know that the Christian community was trying to use the Quran and trying to use Islam to make a point against the LGBTQ community. And in fact, he said that they are supportive of diversity. And I was like, irks. Now, some Christians who thought that they were so smart by using the Quran must feel kind of stupid when they heard that the local Islam organization is like, no, please don't use us. We're not interested in what you're trying to do here. We're not interested in you spewing hate. Let me bring this up. This was actually in the Compass. I'll give the Compass credit for this story. Of course, we don't pay for the Compass, so we got a screenshot of it. So let's view the screenshot to get the gist of the story. You read the first two lines, you're like, okay, I know what the story is about. I got it. So it's only $10 a month, though, if you're interested in paying for it. So this fella has said, let me just see if I can pull this up here. You know how you can do in Windows, how you can split your screen over, like you can drag it over to the side? It's always tricky for me because I have a, what do you call it? I have a dual monitor setup. So anytime I try to drag it, it actually drags it over to the next monitor. So this gentleman here, his name is Cayman-based Ayman Tahar Chandri. Sorry if I butchered your name. Said it was frightening to him that Islam has been used in recent weeks to encourage hanging, banishment. I was going to say banishment, my apologies, and criminalization of LGBTQ people. And he is quoted as having said, I would like to emphasize that as a Muslim, I may not adhere to and concur with the ideologies of the LGBTQ community, but as a human being living together with them, with such people, my apologies, it is my responsibility as someone who loves the Creator to also love His creation. If such people find a need in our community, Muslims are always here to show compassion towards all of humanity. So take that. The Muslims are not, as the several comments in this Christian group would have us believe, that they are crazy, violent people who hate the LGBT community. And I'm supposing this man here represents the Islam community. He has said that's not true. And we don't have to believe in what they believe in to say that, we support humanity and we will be supportive of them. I was pleasantly surprised. So good on them. Thanks to the Compass for posting that one up. Thought that was a good, interesting headline and little snippet. Bruce, children living in less than ideal conditions and what responsibility adults have to make responsible decisions. Well, Bruce, I was just looking at those pictures from yesterday. So you guys remember these deplorable pictures, because I actually want to give an update on this because someone provided me with some additional information. So there's a mother who's saying that she's living in these conditions and she's looking for a place to rent, preferably a 2-bedroom East End area, but she'll come as far as Prospect because she does have to take her kids to school. And someone pinched me and said, just by way of additional information, apparently this where lives is like a family situation. So they have always lived there. And we finally got some footage of the vehicle this morning. So give me a second here. I'm going to pull this up for you guys. So yes, they listen, they've always lived there. It's like a family home, multi-generational thing. So, it is that type of situation. So yes, we understand a little bit more about that now. So I cannot not agree with Bruce when Bruce says, listen, there are individuals who place not just themselves, quite frankly, but children in less than ideal situations. And those children are, as a result of poor decisions by these parents and the adults around them, going to have a very challenging life. And, the irony to me when I am LGBTQ community is a lot of the parents who get in arms about those things are the same parents who cannot stop procreating, are the same parents who will continue to put their children through the most stressful situations in life. They're the same parents who are not going to be very good parents, to be quite frank and honest with you, and who will, eventually, because of their poor parenting skills, even put their children in harm's way, where they're going to be victims of abuse and neglect and other things. But yet, when it comes to the LGBT issue, those parents jump up and have the most to say. And I've always thought it's very interesting because I kind of look at them and I wonder if they see themselves as the rest of us see them. But no one ever wants to criticize a mother for having too many children. And I got to tell you something, Bruce. I've been talking about this for years, way before, Cayman Mall Road existed or anything like that. And every single time I would post on this topic, I would have people saying to me that I was discriminating against single mothers. And I had an issue with single mothers. And you know what they used to throw in my face? You need to go have a child because obviously you can't have any kids. I'm like, obviously you don't know what you're talking about. What I have tried to do is put myself in a position that when I was ready to try, number one, I had someone who I thought would be a good father to my kids. I was actually number two married. Now I get it that marriages don't always work out and whatever, but I have never, having grown up in that situation myself, what I consider to be very dysfunctional, I have never wanted to have a child out of wedlock. And that was just a decision that I thought, sorry, I've got an itch in my eyelid, that was in the best interest of my child. So I know, one parent households exist all over the world, and a lot of parents make it work. They think they do a great job. But I also know that there are a lot of benefits to having a two-parent household that you simply cannot replace any other way. And of course, not just any two-parent household, but a two-parent household that is functional and that allows your children to have the balance of two parents who are giving them love and attention and understanding. And a child is able to bond with both parents in a very different way. So, Bruce, I share a lot of your concerns about, what I see happening in this community. But unfortunately, this is the kind of thing that I say all the time. Politicians need to be having these conversations with their conversations that they're having. They will talk about finance any day of the week. If it's a finance bill, we'll discuss that into the ground. If it's the LGBT community bill, we'll discuss that into the ground. Okay, when we start getting to families, parenting, neglect, child abuse, ooh, domestic abuse, ooh, you don't want to talk about those things. Don't have anything to say. And that is a problem. It's a serious problem. So I understand your sentiments, and we can have the conversation anytime you are ready. Because believe me, I'm ready. The vast majority of people in this country feel like when you start having that conversation, you are picking on them because they have made those poor decisions in their lives. And they think, well, if she's going to talk about single mothers and how that creates a certain type of environment that's problematic towards children, and I'm a single mom, is she trying to make me look bad? Is she trying to make me feel bad? And that's not the case at all. Like, we can have a discussion about it. I think some single parents could very well contribute to the discussion. They could be honest about how to proceed on the basis that, it's not the best decision in the world. Young people, it breaks my heart when a young person is 17, 18, 19, even in their early 20s. In my honest opinion, your first 10 years as an adult without having to even think about the responsibilities of children. That will come. Like, live your best life. Go out there, explore, professionally figure out what you want to do with your life. Are you going to become a tradesman? Are you going to become an accountant? Whatever it is you want to do in life. If you're an artist, explore all of these things, travel, see the world, see different people, and then start to settle down into a relationship. I think even getting married young is a mistake. Settling down too young is a mistake. Oftentimes, you don't know who you are yet. You are still exploring what life has to offer. And so those difficulties means a lot of times you get with someone, and as you grow and develop, you become a totally different person and you grow apart from each other. And I always tell people, sorry, I know some people find this kind of an odd thing to say, but I've always said to people, the end of a marriage, a divorce, to me, doesn't mean that it was a failure. Because getting along with people and being in a relationship with someone other than yourself is like one of the most difficult things in the world. We are so different. We come from such different backgrounds and family histories, and, men versus women. We think differently. We feel differently. We express ourselves differently. So I honestly think your 20s is all about exploration and getting to know yourself and figure people. that are going to be that kind of lifelong commitment. Because think about it. How old are you guys, Ricky? Sophia, good morning, honey. Andy, Miss Sue, are you the same person that you were in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or whatever? I think every single, there's always a change in who you are to some extent. Bruce says the children might need to be removed from the home for their protection. You might not agree, but it's my opinion. But what is happening to the children is child abuse. Now, here's the thing, Bruce. Removing children from home is not always the best solution. It depends on precisely what is going on in the household. So a lot of parents simply need help, right? So when kids are here, you can't put them back. You can't undo or unborn a child. They're already here. And traditionally, we had families and communities that were so much more supportive than they are now because everybody's working, trying to make a dollar to pay CUC and to pay your mortgage. So even if you have the desire to be more helpful to, single moms in your community and your churches and so on, you may not necessarily have the time or resources to do it as much as you would want to. Now, I think there's always a little something you can do. So removing children from the home, in my mind, is the last step, right? So if a single mom is struggling, but her kids are not being abused in any way, like directly abused, but she's struggling financially, or she's struggling with having time for them, this is where organizations now, I believe, can help her, can go into the home, can provide some assistance with supporting that household, as opposed to taking her children from her. Because I cannot imagine being a single mom and trying to go through that struggle. And really to have people tell you that you're such a bad parent and you're doing such a horrible job at it, that they're not going to offer you any help. They're going to just rip your children from you. Oh my God, that would break my heart. And I also believe, Bruce, even as tough as a person as I am on adults especially, I do think that a lot of people are doing the best that they can with what they have. And so when you see people not doing any better, it's because they don't know how to do any better. So maybe the solution isn't just to take their kids from them. Like, how does that teach them to be a better parent? Maybe the solution is actually giving them the resources, the training, the help. This is how you can make better decisions in your relationships, for example, right? You've already picked up 3 deadbeat dads. Let's help you not do a 4th deadbeat dad. One of the things I do believe in, Bruce, I'm going to tell you about this. I think we should be promoting long-term contraceptive options for both men and women. It shouldn't just be the woman's responsibility. How many men, Bruce included, raise your hand. How many of you men have enough children already and you know it, and you're willing to get a vasectomy? Why not? Why is it always the woman who has to do it? I'm an advocate of vasectomies, tubal ligations, and long-term, the 5-year plan of birth control options. And if you've already made 1 or 2 mistakes with birth control, like the pill or even the longer-term birth control, then clearly those options are not for you. So let's think about the long term. Get your tubes tied, folks. I'm a proponent of that, and I see nothing wrong with teaching that in schools, with having that discourse at the university or high school level. We're telling our young people not to have sex, but we know that that's highly unrealistic. If you're going to have sex sexually active, one of the fantastic things for you to be doing is making sure that you're taking care of your overall health, which includes your sexual health. And your sexual health means the use of protective equipment like condoms, right? The use of birth control methods, because too many of us live by this is what I call the Britney Spears syndrome. Oops, I did it again. Remember Britney's song? Oops, I did it again. That's how people, oops, I'm pregnant again. Oops, here comes baby number 4. Oops, baby number 5. So at some point, these are the conversations in my mind that we need to be having. Bruce, I mean, you might be old fashioned. I don't know. Part of me is a little bit, old fashioned as well. I think a lot of us were kind of brought up with certain morals and a certain way of thinking, although a lot of us are not really utilizing that. And I always chuckle when the older generation will say, boy, these young people, they can't stop fornicating. They can't stop doing this, doing that. And then I look at them older folks, I go, hold on a second now. What are you saying? Because some of you were doing the exact same thing. You just think now that because you're 60 years old, nobody remembers your dirt from 40 years ago, right? But you were doing the same foolishness. You were having premarital sex. You were having children out of wedlock, both men and women, not wanting to own your kids, perhaps, right? You were fooling with your sister's husband and getting pregnant by him. I mean, these things have been going on for a really long time, but we are a country that believes in living in denial. So I think that's a big part of our issue. And I also agree with you 100%. If you are in a relationship with a man and he says to you he wants to have a child, great. Let's have that child after we have certain things in place, including getting married. Now, listen to me. If you can't make a commitment to me in a relationship to say, we'll take the vows, we know they always not going to last, but we'll take the vows until death do us part, for better or for worse, let's try to mean it and so on. Absolutely. You make that commitment to the mother makes the commitment to the potential father, instead of just picking up a sperm donor. I agree with you 100%, Bruce. That would be great. And I think women need to start thinking more of themselves. I'm not just an incubator for you to go around having your 10 to 20 children that you're going to have in your lifetime. You need to commit to this relationship, which some people believe that is marriage. Not everyone believes in a marriage, even heterosexual people. Not everyone wants to get married. But it is one way of showing legally for sure that you are committed. And there are protections that you will get through a marriage that you probably won't get otherwise. So yes, how committed is this person to you exactly? Are they committed enough to say, I do? And then you can start thinking about, right, well, now that we are a family legally, or we enter into civil partnership, which is now going to be an option for all of us, let us now go the next step and consider family planning. Bruce, what is wrong with having conversations like, all right, we're together, we're in a relationship. How many children do you want? Have you thought about it? And making sure that you're in alignment with the other person in terms of their desires for a family. Because not everyone wants the same number of children. Not everyone wants a bag of, like a whole football team. I have never been a person that wanted more than 2 children. I got to be honest with you. And I am one of 8. And I have never, ever wanted more than 2 children. I don't think you can sustain 2 children financially, more than 2, in this day and age. I've never felt that my mental state could handle more than 2 children, and probably a dog and a rabbit and a God knows what else the kids drag into your house, and a husband. So I've always felt like 2 children is the perfect number for me, and probably for most people, if they were to be honest. The time that it takes that you want to spend with each child as well. So Richie says, I have lived a life traveling all over the world, 95 countries at age 59. I got married for the first time at Pole Beach on the 27th of June. Wow. Richie, congratulations. I love that. I mean, 59 might be pushing it now to have kids, but with men, anything's possible. 95 countries. That must have been amazing. I would love to interview you someday, because that is a lot of countries. What what's the most interesting country you've ever visited? Like, oh my gosh, I have so many questions for you. Message me. Maybe we can talk one day. Odette, beautiful morning to you. Louis is being honest with us this morning. He says, vasectomy. I've made the choice as a sign of my commitment. Thank you, Louis. And I think that that is fantastic. What is wrong with someone, a man, deciding, you know what, I'm going to get a vasectomy? Good for you. I love it. Kizzy says marriage really has nothing to do with it. I know this older couple that were together for 45 years. They never cheated on each other. And the day they got married is the day their lives changed for the worse. Lord have mercy. So, Kizzy, they were together for 45 years before they got married? Listen, that's why I just said marriage isn't for everyone. There's some people who would tell you that they never want to get married. That's just not them. And some people only get married in order to have kids and to have a family. And once those kids are adults, and that is part of their journey is over, they get a divorce and they're out the door. And that explains a lot. Now, Lillian makes a very valid point, and I agree with you as well. She says getting married, just that act of getting married, isn't everything. You can still be a single parent because both parents have to be committed and involved. Yes, I agree with you. And this is why you need to take your time kind of getting to know the people that you're in relationships with. If you're involved with someone who's a commitment phobic type of person, they don't really want to be in a relationship and they don't really want to get married. And sometimes they're not going to tell you that, but you're going to observe that in their behavior. So the things that they do, all the womanizing and hanging out with their friends more than they do you or your family, then what I can tell you, honey, is they ain't the marrying type. They probably are not even the relationship type. And so that now is where you can make a quick exit out the door and allow them to go on their merry little way. And once again, I say it loud and clear, there is nothing wrong with that. Moving apart from someone, living your best life, get it, is all I can tell you. So Kizzy confirms that they were together for 45 years. Well, you know what some of them people say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So sometimes you're better off leaving a situation alone. I don't know what the intricate details of their relationship is. It is a little bit peculiar that they would all of a sudden start having issues after 45 years if everything was fine. Could it be a situation where everything wasn't fine for those 45 years, but it was well hidden? It was well masked? I mean, that's a possibility because we don't always know what's going on behind closed doors. And then the cracks started to manifest themselves. That happens a lot. People don't know what is really going on behind closed doors. So people think a lot of these older folks have the best relationships and they are living the biggest lies and the biggest facades ever. I mean, I've seen women in particular who stay in relationships because, you know, they were raised in an era when that is what you did, right? So you just went along with the status quo. You had your children, you raised your children, even if he was out at the bars, drinking, having affairs for years, you just continued to be the dutiful wife and played your part, right? You had very little to say about the situation. You continued to wash his clothes, to cook for him. That's how a lot of women were raised, that's what you did no matter what, because the relationship or the marriage was the most important thing, even above your own happiness. And so I want to say to people, I hope we're not living in that era anymore. I don't care how old-fashioned we are. We can see where that has led to a lot of dysfunctional generations right here in the Cayman Islands. Motion detected at the office. So there has to be a balance, I think, when you're in a relationship. And it's not always about the other person. Your children should come first and foremost, for sure. But sometimes the best things that you can do for your children include getting out of a meaningless relationship. Because at some point you send the message to them that that behavior is okay. That it's okay to be with a man who doesn't value you, who doesn't care anything about you. You know, the Kardashians, this is a perfect celebrity example. I really like certain things about the Kardashians. Their show's coming to an end. I got to catch up, I think, on last season and probably this season. But Khloe, who was one of my favorite Kardashians because she seems to be a little bit more down to earth. I mean, obviously none of them understand the struggles of having to pay a bill or anything like that, right? But still, she was a little bit more relatable. You know, she was the fat one for a while before she started working out 2 hours a day and getting plastic surgery. So we could relate to her carrying a few extra pounds and the struggles of, you know, trying to lose weight, maybe the struggles of trying to keep up in a family where everybody else is doing it, but you can't, sort of thing. But now that she's been in this relationship with Tristan Thompson, ugh, her story is just like, it has me depressed. And you know why? Because I think she has a daughter now. It was different with Lamar and all these other losers, but I think Khloe suffers with a little bit of low self-esteem, to be honest. I don't know if it's daddy issues because, you know, their dads died, their father died when they were like teenagers and relatively young. I think Kim might have been a young adult, maybe 19, 20 or whatever. So young ladies still very much need the presence of their father. And I think losing a parent, whether it's a mother or a father, can really mold and shape who we are as we go through our lives. And sometimes it makes us more likely to be involved in poor relationships and stuff, right? So we make really bad decisions. And so when I see her trying to work it out with Kristen, what's his name, Tristan Thompson, and oh, they want to have another kid together, or they're possibly going to get married, I think this is so stupid. It's only a question of when is he going to do it again. He is a serial cheater, and serial cheaters don't stop. They just learn how to be better at the game, how to fool you better, and how to wait it out a little bit. And I'm looking at my clock going, okay, when is he going to do it again? It's coming. Why are you exposing your daughter to this man? I get that that's her father, but her father is obviously flawed. You picked the wrong man to have a child with. And compounding that situation by having more children with him is probably not the right answer. Lisa says, I don't have the mental space for more than 2 children. Now that they're grown, the way they turn out, one is an RN nurse and the other is an engineer. I now feel like having 2 more. But the cost of living said to me, no way. I hear you, Lisa. I hear you. You want to do it all over again. You did it right the first time, so you're thinking, why not try for round 2? So Irvlin says, yep, they'll fake it just to look decent. I'm not faking shit just to look good. I'm sorry. My health and sanity is priority. That's right. Bruce tells us a little bit about himself. I waited until I returned from university and had a job before I got married and had my one and only child. My wife and I have shared long-term goals, and to ensure that we have a comfortable retirement, we agreed to only have 1 child. Marriage is not perfect and you'll go through difficult times. This is a reason why the marriage should not be built on lust alone. Ooh, now that's a whole other discussion there, Bruce. And I tell you what, I like how you say that your wife and you had a plan. And obviously it was something that you discussed before. This is what family planning is about. Before having a child. Because that's when you do it. You don't wait till the child is here and then go, oh gosh, how many kids are we going to have again? Is it the one? Because the one is here now. So yeah, you kind of think about what you want to do. Lisa, thank you so much for that comment. Um, Sue says, so sad for the women who live like this. Never me. And I'm married for 52 years. Wow. Good on you. Plenty ups and downs. So many couples give up too easy these days. Bruce says that many boys in particular need their fathers, or boys in particular need their fathers. And I believe that many of the men in prison are the product of single parent homes and absentee fathers. I think there's definite truth to that. And I think the statistics would bear out that situation. So Egbert and Lynette have joined the stream. Paula is here. Monica, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Eunice, beautiful Eunice. I saw Eunice the other day in town. It was so nice to see her. I hadn't seen her in a while. But yes, I agree with that, Bruce. Unfortunately, it's one of the realities that we need to start addressing. And I think, again, it's about support. Like, even if a mother finds herself in a situation where she's, made some poor decisions early on and she has children in her home as a single mother, she needs help. And so there are uncles, and she may have brothers, and she may have uncles and granduncles and whatever, that they can step up to the plate and offer some assistance. So maybe that child's father is absentee because he ain't no good. And being there is not going to be the best interest of the child, right? So he might be abusive. He might be strung out on drugs. And surely you don't want your kid hanging around with their biological father just because it's their biological father if they've got all these issues, because that will not have a meaningful impact on the child's life. But there should be other people that child can rely upon in their lives. Church folks, hello. Those of you in church worried about what adults are doing, this is where you can step up to the plate. Volunteer to foster a kid. Volunteer to become a godparent to a child in need. Big Brothers Big Sisters organization is still there. I hardly hear anything about them, but they're still there. So get on it, folks. Go and call them up. Volunteer. I want to be a big sister. I want to be a big aunt, a big mom, whatever you want to call it. Take a child to the movies. I have some children, especially when I was in my 20s, it was so much easier because I had more free time, and 30s, that I would take and say, oh, can I borrow your kid for the day? They were family members. I want to take them to the movies. I want them to come out and just hang out with me. We can sit down and talk. And, they were growing up in a very different environment that I had been exposed to when I moved to the US. And so the most amazing thing for me was to let them know that regardless of what your circumstances are, you may not have the world's best mom. You may not have, a 2-parent household or whatever, but you will have, as an adult, the opportunity to make some different decisions for your own lifestyle, for your own life. And you can decide to turn this around. It will not be too late for you to make better decisions about your life. And simply, it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing for a child to actually see functional families. So you take a underprivileged kid with you for a Sunday, every Sunday. Come and have dinner with me and my family, right? That allows them to see, wow, there are possibilities. And the possibilities exist and are endless. There's opportunity there for me to be different, to have a different kind of lifestyle. And I think that that's amazing. So it is that exposure to something different that we all need. Diversity, teaching them that there are different things in life. That's what I mean. I think that kids can, they can soak that in. And it gives a young person hope that even if I'm in a dysfunctional home. Not everyone lives this way. And there are options out there for me as a young person. So, Bruce, you have an ideology in your head that I agree with, and I think that's great. But let me ask you now a very personal question. When was the last time you said, let me help a young mother in need? Let me help someone, a young father in need who is struggling to be a good father? Right? What's wrong with that? It's easy to talk the talk, trust me. But actually doing something about it, doing something to help somebody else who's less fortunate than we are. That now is where the rubber meets the road. That's where we can all have a more meaningful existence between each other. And I think that's the biggest challenge. What else is going on, folks? Happy birthday to Melinda Macfield today. Today is Melinda's birthday, and she is 36 years old. Fabulous Friday birthday. Happy birthday, Melinda. Melinda looks beautiful. I don't know who did the hair and makeup and the outfit here, Melinda, but it's very, very pretty. So happy birthday to you. Trust that you have a wonderful birthday weekend, which I know Melinda always lives it up. So she will certainly do that, I'm sure. There is an announcement, actually. I need to find this. From remember the young man that died a couple days ago in Prospect? They're having a candlelight vigil for him. So I do want to bring up this information because unfortunately, he died, as we all know. And so let me just try to find the flyer. Someone had sent it to me and I've been meaning to actually post this up for them. Sometimes when you send through things, we've got a couple of Facebook administrators and stuff, but you might have to just follow up with us to make sure that it gets posted. Like if you don't see it going up, just shoot us another little message so that we know. So someone said, oh, there's another scam going around where someone sends you a message saying that your WhatsApp mobile number has been selected as the $1 million US winner and the WhatsApp Global Awards program. And they want you to provide your information. Scammers alert, folks. Scammers are everywhere. I guess it goes without saying that you really, at this particular point in time, shouldn't believe anyone who unsolicited, unless you play the lotto. Chances are that you've won something are pretty slim to none. So don't be jumping up, sending these people your information, because all they want are some basic details. And then next thing you know, they're going to be asking you, here's a message for your bank account information and telling you, oh, you have to pay a small fee in order to get this money. So don't do it. So the North Sound Estates boat ramp, also known as Duck Pond launching ramp, is under renovations. Someone sent this to us saying after 7 months of crying out to government to fix the ramp as it's damaging boat trailers, they finally started the work yesterday. Good. But of course, there was no announcement made about it. No one knew anything about it. So people are like, it would have been nice had they told us that they were going to do this. Government folks, don't hold your breath for them to tell you anything. But apparently, that is what has happened. Okay, let me just have a look here, folks. See if I can pull up this accident video from today that someone was kind enough to send us. I'm still looking for that flyer for the young man who died. So let me get that up here shortly. So someone just messaged about our show last night, saying that same person back in 2013, when they went to their house, they wanted them to clean this huge big house and never wanted to pay them anything but $50. So they said they're not surprised that she does not want to pay the reward money. What a hot mess. Your ways will find you, people. Perhaps a little bit quicker than ever. Mm-hmm. Let's watch this video of the accident this morning. Check this out.
Yeah, boy. Whatever do we put? Yeah, boy. Whatever do we put?
So the tow truck is now on the scene to tow it away. That stretch of road, there's normally not really a whole lot of traffic on that. I mean, I don't come out of West Bay in the morning, so I don't know what it's like in the morning hours. But I would dare say that it's probably not that heavy. So that being the case, what on earth was this person up to this morning that allowed them to lose control of the vehicle and end up hitting the light pole? CUC is probably going to charge them for that light pole, to be honest. Not good. Try to be careful, folks. Try to be careful. Okay, so I found the flyer here. Let me just share this with you guys. So they're going to have a candlelight vigil at 7 Mile Beach, and they're asking people to please wear white. And this is for the young man, Angel Wilfredo Bustillo Bing, who passed away on December the 15th, just 3 days ago. His friends and family are getting together to have a little bit of a remembrance for him. They're asking everyone to come out and join. So please, by all means, support this. You know, it's unfortunate. He was only 38 years old, I understand. Very young. We don't know anything more than it just is an apparent heart attack. And I guess, unfortunately, someone can have a heart attack at any age. So condolences to his family. I just think that it's so hot out there. that you just got to be especially careful in heat of, what you're doing. So let me see here. Melinda says she got it and she blocked person as well. Lillian says that she just got it. Bruce, thank you for confirming your contribution. He says that he helps this young lady with her son. After covering the cost of the child for about a year, I became aware that the young lady was pregnant again with another child. I withdrew my support because I will not be turned into a fool. Ooh, interesting. So sometimes support is based on, but I wonder, Bruce, I want to ask you this. Did you ever have a conversation with her where you told her that that was the contingency? Like, I will help you with your child because obviously you need it, but now you have to help yourself by not getting pregnant again. Sometimes I think we don't say these things because we don't want to insult people, but sometimes you got to say these things. I wonder if she knew that your help, maybe that could have made her be a little bit more careful. I don't know. Because now she's going to have 2 kids and probably no help from anyone. I'm just saying, tell people your expectations. It's like a relationship up front. Tell people what you expect. I expect that you won't be cheating on me. You're not going to abuse me. You're not going to do this, this, and this. And here are the consequences when you do. So we're all clear on what's going on here. Most people think they can play you for a fool, as Bruce said. And she may not have been trying to play you for a fool on purpose, but the outcome is very much the same. Excuse me while I eat my banana, folks. Sometimes I feel like I need a little bit of energy. And I need to have some breakfast. Because after this, I've got to get to work and my other job. I have a client meeting this morning at 11:30 in West Bay. So I need to make myself ready to go. I actually have, I've got this client meeting, but I also have a few things I have to do on the computer before I go to that client meeting. So I know that I won't get a chance to eat is my point of telling you that. So I have a banana now, and then I've got a lunch meeting after that 11:30. So about 12:30, I've booked that one for. And then I'll actually sit down and have something to eat closer to 1 o'clock. So in the meantime, they tell you breakfast is supposed to be the most important meal of the day. And I must say that I'm ashamed to say that it is the one meal that I probably skip the most of all my meals is breakfast. So sometimes, even if I can just get a banana or an apple, I figure it's better than nothing, right? So what about yesterday at Hurley's? What happened at Hurley's? I don't know what happened at Hurley's, Rosanna. Irvin said she'll be there for the I'm assuming for the candlelight vigil. Thank you for that support. Yes, Miss Sue, very young. Lillian is having a good chuckle. You know what else, Bruce? Speaking of contingencies, I also believe that if someone is on NAU, that NAU needs to make it a contingency of their support. And I know this gets a little bit tricky because no politician wants to tell anybody to stop having children, although they should be having the conversations in our community. But I think NAU needs to say, whilst you are on NAU, so when you get a job, you can go there and do whatever you want. But when you're getting NAU's help, you have to be committed to having no further children at this time. Because if you could afford more children, you wouldn't be needing NAU. And NAU can't afford any more is the problem. So we will put you on mandatory birth control regime where you have to go to a doctor. Of course, they're going to give you Cynical coverage. So they will pay for that. And the doctor will discuss your best birth control options long term. And as long as you are an NAU client, You have to commit to that. It's just like being in the drug court. If you want to be a part of the drug court, you have to agree through the courts to be drug tested randomly on a regular basis. And if you start to show up negative, some of the things are positive, some of the things that they have agreed to in the drug program, you will lose your benefits and you'll end up in jail. It's the same sort of thinking, folks. I want to be an NAU client. There are expectations of what I will do. So I will have to take a course. So whenever NAU offers courses through DCFS or whoever, I will have to take parenting courses. I will have to take courses on different soft skills, computer skills, whatever, so that I can get to the position where I no longer need NAU's assistance and I can actually become employable or become an entrepreneur and find a job, become self-sufficient, and be able to come off of NAU, because the ultimate goal with NAU should be to become self-sufficient, not to rely on NAU for all the days of my life. So I do believe that there is a conversation that we need to have in relation to that. Yes, Bruce, you needed to say it. Yes, not everybody gets the obvious. Believe me, you know how we say common sense isn't so common? So yes, you might have been having a conversation with her about the fact that she was unable to provide her for her child, and she still did not understand. Your expectations of her were that you would continue to help her with her child financially. However, it meant no more children. Of course, you had to say that to her, Bruce. People don't always get it. I'm telling you. Happy Friday. Evelyn is out. She's got things to do, money to be made, clients to service. And so do I. So we're going to end just a couple minutes early. It's 9:08, 9:09 by my little timer clock here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. The BA flight came in yesterday. I think no more than 20 people were supposed to be self-quarantining. So we'll see how that experiment goes. And of course, we will keep you guys updated. Government press conference at 2 o'clock today. So please tune in for that. We'll see what the government has to say, what's going on. And of course, stay tuned here to Keeneland Mall Road. And we will bring you the latest news as it happens. I need to get an update on what's going on at Eden Rock with the coral reefs. So I'll check in with them today as well to see what progress or headway has been made. So we got a couple stories that we're always following up for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a fabulous weekend. Take the fab beyond Fab Friday and straight into the weekend. Flights to Jamaica yesterday, I'm not sure. I'll double check. Send me a private message and I can confirm that for you. Thank you, Lillian. Thank you all for tuning in this morning. And love, love, love all of you. And remember, sometimes it's just so easy to do the right thing, but we get caught up in, I don't know what. We get caught up in situations. So a few of you are telling me that you're getting this message now about the WhatsApp scammer. Just ignore it, folks. You know it ain't true. We'll post it up just in case. But nobody's going to give you $1 million. It looks like they've gotten a hold of a batch of numbers from Cayman, because everybody this morning is now getting this message about you're a winner. Yeah, you ain't won no $1 million, folks. You are a winner, because if you're a good person, that makes you a winner. But that doesn't mean that you've won $1 million. All right, good people. See you on Monday morning. Anything breaking happens over the weekend, you know where to keep it locked. Let's try to have a safe weekend. No crazy driving, none of that. And I'll see you guys on Monday morning. Take care until then.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.